Highseats can take a variety of forms, however what is fundamental when using them is of course safety. This film is aimed at showing you how to shoot more accurately from a high seat. Make sure that the seat is secure and stable and well placed in order to ensure that you have a safe backstop. It's also important to ensure that the seat is in good working order. Regular maintenance is crucial. As ever, be careful when lifting. Okay, so before climbing into the high seat, it's absolutely crucial that you always unload your rifle before you climb into the seat. Secondly, make sure your seat has been in place for a few days before using it. Deer are usually highly aware of their environment and familiar with their surroundings. They will be very suspicious of new objects. Before deciding where to place your seat, or indeed which seat to use, do your research. Make sure you have a good line of sight and look for signs of deer activity, droppings, fraying, slots and trails. Make sure that you're comfortable. You may be required to sit in position for several hours, so you don't want to be shifting about. Okay, so basics over. Let's take a closer look at high seats and how to shoot better from them. Personally, the most crucial thing for me is making sure that this bar is at the right height. This one here is set perfectly for me. You can see because I can place the rifle on the bar with a minimum of movement and very little bending or stretching or hunching. So that's spot on. If it's not right, be prepared to adjust it. Here we see how not to do it. The bar is set far too low. Notice how I have to lean forward awkwardly. The next important thing to remember to improve our shooting is contact points. This is always the case with shooting positions. You want to make sure you've got as stable a rest as possible. And here, we've got to get our elbow and our front hand on a contact point. And I would do that in this scenario like this. My front hand comes forward on the bar and the rifle's placed in it. My right elbow is going to go on the other side of the bar. You can see in actual fact here, the whole of my forearm is running down that bar, and that gives me a really nice stable rest. Even when I move, my right elbow on this bar, and my left arm, my left hand is against the tree. As many contact points as you can find will improve your accuracy. If you do have to move, here are some more tips. Okay, so let's look at some more tips to help you with your shooting. Now, the first thing to say is don't believe anyone that tells you that deer don't look up. The purposes of a high seat are various, but don't be fooled into thinking that by sitting up here they're not going to see you. Deer do look up, and if you move too quickly they'll spot you. So put your rifle in a position where you can get onto the bar and get into position with the minimum of movement. For example here, this is how I might sit with my rifle. I'm ready to go. It's nice and secure, it's not going anywhere, and if my animal appears, I can simply move like this. I'm onto that animal with a minimum of movement. It's not going to notice me. Another thing to mention here, and that's with regards to my front hand. Some people, you will see, will use their rifle like this. They will use the front bar as the rest, and their hands will come back. Now, it's nice and safe and it's nice and secure. However, the problem with this, with full bore rifles that have a recoil, is that you will get the rifle skipping off the bar. Now this one isn't too bad. This has a plastic covering, or a rubber covering I should say. However, some of them will be metal and some of them will be wood. And with a full bore rifle, this is a 308, you will get skip off the bar. So if I was to take my shot like this, upon the recoil, the rifle is going to jump off the bar. Now you might think that's not the end of the world, but remember with deer stalking that we're trying to look for shot reaction. When we've taken our shot on that deer, we want to see its reaction to the shot. If your rifle has skipped off the bar, you're going to lose the image. If, on the other hand, you place your hand under the rifle and you grip it, you're in a position to restrain the recoil a little bit and get yourself back onto that animal as quickly as you can, just in case you need a second shot to dispatch it. The other reason why it's useful to have your hand on the front is for movement. If you are resting it here, it is less easy to follow that animal from left to right. You have to drag it across the bar. If, however, my hand is under the bar, I can move it freely and follow my animal as it moves. Okay, so finally shot placement. Obviously with deer stalking, we're trying to get a broadside heart-lung shot. And if you're shooting on a flat plane, you know where to aim, a third or a halfway up that animal to get the heart and lungs. If, however, like I've demonstrated there, you're shooting from an elevated position, have a think about the trajectory of your bullet. It's downward. And so we need to raise our placement. We come an inch or two higher on the animal in order to ensure that our bullet's trajectory passes through the cavity of the animal at such an angle as to clip the heart and lungs. A really important point to remember when shooting from a high seat. That concludes our look at high seats. If you'd like more shooting tuition, then contact us for details at www.countydeerstalking.co.uk.